Here, power decides fate. It separates kings from soldiers, heroes from names long forgotten. From the quiet villages of East Blue to the roaring storms of the New World, every soul, from the weakest to the legends, stands somewhere on this invisible scale. This is the hierarchy of the seas, the 7 levels of power in One Piece. Level 1, ordinary humans. In a world where legends walk the seas and monsters split the sky, there are still people who wake up every morning with nothing but hope. Ordinary humans holding on to an extraordinary will to live. They've never tasted a devil fruit. They don't have Haki, yet every day they rise in a world where one pirate ship can erase everything they've built, and somehow, they still choose to live. Think about it. The Grand Line isn't kind to the weak. Entire islands vanish in the crossfire between pirates and marines. And yet, people keep planting, keep rebuilding, keep believing in better days. That's the unseen strength that keeps this world moving. Like Belmare, her story defines this level. A former marine who traded the battlefield for motherhood. When Arlong came to Kokoyashi, she knew what was coming. She didn't stand there to win. She stood there because love left her no choice. That moment, when she smiled before her death, that's level 1. That's the power of love in a world ruled by violence.
Nojiko, Nami! 大好き.
And she's not the only one. Across the seas, there are countless others just like her. Quiet pillars holding up a world that never notices them. And naturally, Tashigi and Helmeppo belong here too, still rising through the ranks. They're not strong by New World standards, but their growth feels real. Tashigi's devotion to justice, her obsession with stopping the cruelty of the strong, makes her deeply human. She knows she's not Zoro's equal, but she still steps forward anyway. And Helmeppo. We all remember who he used to be, a spoiled coward hiding behind his father's rank. Now he trains, fights, and bleeds with the same Marines he once looked down on. These are the people who give One Piece its heart, because without them, the world would just be chaos. Pirates and monsters tearing everything apart. They're the reason the strong have something to fight for, and that brings us to Vivi. She's not stronger than any of them. She is what this level means. Vivi faced a war that could have destroyed her entire kingdom, and she fought it with nothing but words, loyalty, and sheer willpower. She didn't pick up a sword. She didn't awaken a fruit. She believed in her people, in her friends, in peace itself. She walked among pirates and marines, risked everything for a dream that wasn't even hers alone. And even when she couldn't sail with the straw hats, she carried that same spirit forward. The courage to care, even when caring hurts. But in a world this dangerous, heart alone can only go so far. Some people take that same courage and turn it into something greater. The next level begins there. Level 2, skilled fighters and low-tier devil fruit users. Some people are born powerless, and they stay that way, but others, they refuse to. They take that same human courage and turn it into skill, strategy, or something even stranger. This is the level where intelligence, creativity, and willpower become weapons, where tricksters, tacticians, and survivors carve their names into a world ruled by giants. They don't win through strength, they win by thinking. Take Usopp, for example. He's not built like Zoro, not fearless like Luffy, but he's a fighter in his own way. Every time he's outmatched, he adapts. From bluffing pirates in Syrup Village to sniping Marines at Eni's lobby to taking down Sugar in Dressrosa, Usopp's power has always been his mind and his timing. He's proof that in One Piece, bravery isn't the absence of fear. It's standing your ground even when you know you might lose. Then there's Nami, another perfect example of this level. No devil fruit, no physical advantage, but her genius for navigation and weather control turns her into one of the most dangerous support fighters in the series. Her climate act isn't just a weapon, it's a symbol of how intelligence can rewrite the rules of battle. With every upgrade, she's learned to control the very storms that others fear. In a world where nature itself is a weapon, she's learned to make it her ally. Others in this tier rely on devil fruits, not the world-shattering kind, but the tricky, unpredictable ones that demand creativity to matter. Perona's Ghost fruit can crush morale and turn even the bravest opponents into puddles of despair. And Caesar Clown, for all his cowardice, can still kill an army with a single breath of gas. They're dangerous not because of raw strength, but because of how they use what they have. Everyone at this level can hold their own, at least for a while. They might not destroy islands, but they can survive them. They're the bridge between the powerless and the truly powerful. The point where courage becomes technique, and technique becomes power. And no one represents this level better than Buggy the Clown. He's not the strongest, not even close, but that's exactly the point. Buggy's power doesn't come from domination. It comes from survival, from turning failure into opportunity, from convincing the world he's bigger than he really is. The Chop fruit makes him immune to blades, but his real weapon is his luck, his timing, and his refusal to stay irrelevant. In any other story, Buggy would have been a punchline. But in One Piece, even the weak have a place in history. He's the embodiment of this level, a survivor, a schemer, and living proof that sometimes it takes more than power to become a legend. But in the new world, this level marks the turning point. Here, trickery and tactics stop being enough. Because in the next level, power takes form, and Haki becomes the new law of survival. Level 3. Haki users and strong New World fighters. This is where strength finally takes shape, where courage and cleverness meet something new. A force that can't be seen, but changes everything. Haki. This is the level of true professionals. Fighters who can survive in the new world, clash with commanders, and hold their own against monsters. They aren't yet rulers of the sea, but they've earned the right to sail through it. Crocodile is the perfect embodiment of that kind of power, a man who once underestimated the new generation, only to rise from defeat stronger than ever. He doesn't just use his sand fruit, he masters it. Every grain, every storm, every cut is executed with surgical precision. Crocodile doesn't fight like a brute, he fights like a strategist, turning the battlefield itself into his weapon. Robin belongs here too, the quiet killer who fights with her mind. Her Hana no Mi isn't about destruction, it's about control. She can immobilize enemies, snap bones, or lift giants without ever stepping close. In a world that rewards chaos, she wins through composure. She's proof that true power can be silent, graceful, and precise. And then there's Virgo, raw strength in its purest form. No devil fruit, no tricks. Just a body coated in armament Haki strong enough to shatter steel. He's the kind of fighter who doesn't need style. His hits sound like explosions. Virgo proves that even without supernatural powers, discipline alone can forge a monster. Fighters at this level are respected, feared, and trusted with command. They can lead squads, defend territories, or challenge the elite, even if they don't always win. They are the backbone of every great crew and organization. And no one represents this level better than Smoker, a Marine who's been chasing pirates across the Grand Line since the beginning. Stubborn, relentless, and always adapting. He's not the strongest, but he embodies everything this level stands for: grit, growth, and the will to keep fighting no matter how many times he's knocked down. Smoker doesn't chase glory, he chases progress. And in a world where the strong rule the seas, that determination alone keeps him standing. Smoker represents level 3 because he proves that strength isn't about being unbeatable, it's about never staying beaten. But the climb doesn't end here. Beyond this point, every fight becomes a war, every name becomes a symbol, and the gap between victory and death grows razor thin. Level 4. Commander-class fighters. At this stage, even the air feels heavier. Every name carries weight. These are the fighters who stand just below legends, the commanders, the warlords, the ones capable of tearing apart armies and reshaping entire islands. They've mastered their Haki. Their devil fruits are awakened, their instincts sharpened. They fight with the kind of power that bends nature itself. Fire, light, lightning, wind, all of it answering to their will. Katakuri is the perfect embodiment of that strength. A man who can see the future, move faster than thought, and fight with absolute composure. He doesn't fight for fame or fear, he fights for his family's pride. And when Luffy finally pushed him to his limit, Katakuri didn't just fall, he acknowledged him. That kind of respect exists only between warriors of this level. Then there's King, the living inferno. His Lunarian blood makes him nearly indestructible, his defense defying logic itself. When he spreads his wings over Onigashima, it feels like a creature from another era returned to test the new generation. Doflamingo represents a different kind of commander, the tyrant. His strings can slice through stone, control minds, or build entire cities from chaos. He doesn't just fight his enemies, he puppeteers them, and beneath that arrogance lies a man who understands the darkness of the world better than most. Boa Hancock, on the other hand, rules through presence alone. Her beauty is a weapon, her conqueror's Haki undeniable. With one glance, she can turn armies to stone. But her true strength isn't in charm, it's in control. She commands love and fear in equal measure. Law and Kid also belong here. Pirates bold enough to challenge the emperors themselves. Law, the surgeon of death, turns battlefields into operating rooms, cutting through space itself. Kid, the walking engine of destruction, bends metal like a storm given form. They may not rule the seas yet, but they've already scarred them. And Sanji, the man who burns without a devil fruit. A fighter whose speed, resilience, and mastery of armament Haki rival any commanders. His flames aren't magic, they're willpower made visible. Even when he's pushed to the edge, he still protects what matters most. Every name here carries authority. Warriors trusted by emperors, feared by nations, and respected by rivals. But among them all, one swordsman defines what this level truly represents. Roronoa Zoro. Zoro doesn't lead armies or command fleets. He doesn't crave thrones or titles. He represents this level because he embodies what it takes to reach it: discipline, will, and an endless climb toward something greater. He stands shoulder to shoulder with the world's strongest, not because of power given to him, but because of power he earned. Every scar, every swing, every promise kept has built him into a commander in all but name. Zoro defines level 4, not because he's reached its peak, but because he's already looking past it. A man standing on the edge of legend. But above the commanders are those who can change the world with a single decision. Fighters whose very presence can shift the balance of history. Level 5, Admiral-class combatants. At this level, battles stop being fights. They become natural disasters. Every clash shakes the world. Every decision shifts the balance of power. These are the people who can turn the tide of war single-handedly. Their names define the age: Kizaru, Fujitora, Green Bull, and those who've reached their realm, like Sabo. Each one is an army in human form. Kizaru, the man of light, unpredictable, untouchable, effortless. He never rushes because he never needs to. One beam from his hand can erase a ship. Behind that lazy drawl hides power that moves faster than thought itself. Fujitora, the Admiral who carries justice with gravity. Blind to sight but not to truth, he sees the world for what it is. Heavy, flawed, and in need of balance. When he calls down meteors, it isn't to show strength, it's to test it. He's the rare soldier who questions the very system he protects. Green Bull, the wild force of nature. His roots stretch through the earth, his hunger through the battlefield. He represents the new age of Marines, impatient, aggressive, merciless. A man who can drain a forest dry and still call it justice. And Sabo, the fire that stands against all of it, with the Mera Mera no Mi burning in his hands. He's the mirror opposite of an admiral, a revolutionary with the same destructive potential, but fighting for freedom instead of control. When Sabo clashes with the Marines, the world sees Ace's flame reborn. Every fighter at this tier bends the elements to their will. They decide battles, rewrite maps, and remind everyone why the world fears the word Admiral. And no one represents this level better than Aokiji. Once an Admiral, now a man without a flag, calm, distant, and terrifyingly capable. Strong enough to freeze the sea itself, yet wise enough to know when to walk away. His duel with Akainu didn't just scar an island, it divided the Marines and forever changed the balance of power. Aokiji defines level 5 because he reveals the double-edged truth of this power. To hold strength great enough to protect the world, or destroy it by choice. But even the admirals aren't the ceiling. Above them stand the rulers, the men and women whose very names command the seas. Level 6, Yonko-class rulers. At this level, strength isn't measured in battles. It's measured in balance, the kind that holds the entire world together. These are the emperors of the sea, Shanks, Kaido, Big Mom, Blackbeard, and now, Monkey D. Luffy. Each one is a living storm, capable of ending nations or protecting them. Their names alone can start or stop a war. Kaido, the strongest creature in the world, a beast who believed that strength was the only truth. He sought death because life itself no longer challenged him. Every roar, every swing of his club could split the sky. He wasn't just strong. He was nature's rage given form. Big Mom, the queen of Tado Land. A monster born of hunger and emotion. A woman who turned her desires into absolute rule. Her soul fruit gave her dominion over life itself. To steal it, twist it, and shape it into her will. She was a mother, a tyrant, and a monster all at once. Shanks, the red-haired emperor. Calm, collected, and terrifyingly fast. He doesn't need to prove his power. It's understood the moment he appears. With a single step onto Marineford, he ended a war. That isn't influence, it's respect, earned through decades of loyalty, restraint, and unmatched will. Blackbeard, the anomaly. The man who shattered every law of the sea. 2 devil fruits, 1 body, no limits. He isn't a genius. He's ambition incarnate. Every move he makes shifts the world's balance, not through luck, but through his willingness to do what others never would. These are the beings the world calls Yonko. They don't follow anyone's orders, not the Marines, not the government, not even fate. They rule their own empires, their own seas, their own destinies. But among them now stands Monkey D. Luffy, the new generation's emperor. He began as a boy from East Blue with nothing but a dream, and now stands shoulder to shoulder with legends. His Haki splits the heavens. His Gear 5 turns imagination itself into power. And his laughter, That unstoppable, unbreakable laughter embodies everything the Yonko represent: freedom, defiance, and the will to live without fear. Luffy defines level 6 because he's living proof that willpower can rewrite destiny. He's not just one of the strongest, he's one of the freest. A man who can shake the world not because he wants to rule it, but because he refuses to be ruled. But even the Yonko are still human. Above them lies something rarer, a realm beyond strength, beyond freedom, and beyond mortality itself. Level 7, Legendary Beings. This is it, the highest point, where strength stops being a skill and becomes a story the world will never forget. At this level, power isn't measured by battles won. It's measured by how long the world remembers your name. These are the beings who don't just exist within the One Piece era, they define it. Their wills became history itself. Even decades later, the world still moves in their shadow. There was once a man named Rox D. Zebek, the pirate who gathered monsters under a single flag: Kaido, Big Mom, Whitebeard. All drawn to his madness, he was chaos incarnate, a storm in human form, whose ambition was so vast the world had to erase him just to move on. Then came Whitebeard, the man who could destroy the seas but chose instead to protect his family. Even at Marineford, facing death, he stood unshaken. His final words weren't a threat, but a promise that the era he and Roger built wasn't over. And somewhere above it all stands Imu, a shadow ruling from silence, a presence so absolute that even the world's rulers bow, a king who watches as the age of pirates and revolution unfolds beneath their gaze. And then, the man who started it all, Gol D. Roger, not because he was invincible, but because he made the world believe again. He reached the end, laughed, and turned his final breath into an invitation. Every pirate who sails today, from Luffy to Blackbeard, sails in the wake of that moment. Roger defines level 7 because his will outlived his era. He didn't rule the world, he freed it. His strength was never about control, it was about faith, in his crew, in the sea, in the dream that no one could kill. At this level, power becomes legacy. These are the names carved into the sea itself, echoes of what it means to live without limits. From ordinary humans to monsters of the ocean, this is the full spectrum of One Piece power. 7 levels, 7 reflections of courage, will, and freedom. Because in the end, power fades. But the will to keep sailing never does.